Wait until they take this product and you get Oola on the brain and you start saying, I can be a better dad. I can be a better husband. I can run a better business. I need to quit being mad at God and just give that another look. I mean, people take Oola and they just put it in their life, and Oola knows what hole to fill. Oola knows the blind spots.
Stop. What the hell are you talking about?
Guys, I've never been more pissed about the launch of a new MLM in my entire life, so I suggest you guys go grab a glass of milk, but make it vegan, because today's video is gonna be spicy. The MLM I'm talking about today is called Oolalife, and I'm especially pissed about it because this MLM basically allows their reps to play the part of psychologist to their downlines. Oolalife markets itself as a lifestyle framework that combines an e-learning platform with a support system and accountability. AKA, it's yet another personal development course where those selling it claim, unsurprisingly, that it's completely life-changing. What's even worse, those holding you accountable for progressing in the course are the same people that recruited you for their financial benefit in the first place. Technically, Oolalife has not officially launched yet. They're in the pre-enrollment phase where only a select group of people are able to join. They will have their soft launch on June 7th, and then they will go full force, guns a-blazing on July 7th. Oolalife, the MLM, is largely based on an internationally best-selling self-help book released in 2012 called Oola, Finding Balance in an Unbalanced World. Now, you're probably wondering what Oola means. According to the book's authors, Dr. Troy Amdahl and Dr. Dave Braun, Oola is short for Oolala. No, I'm not kidding.
It actually comes from the word Oolala. Oolala, baby.
I decided to give the Oola book a read since the MLM is largely based on it, and boy, was I disappointed. Do you guys know that Family Guy episode where Brian writes that really crappy self-help book called Wish It, Want It, Do It that ends up being a bestseller? That's what this book reminds me of.
Wish it, want it, do it. Love it.
In the book, Troy and Dave claim that in order to find happiness and live the life of your dreams, you must grow and find balance in the 7 key areas of life they call the 7 Fs. The 7 Fs are fitness, finance, family, field, friends, fun, and faith. Because of course, no one can be happy unless they believe in God, and if you know these guys, it's probably the Christian God. Once you've balanced and grown your 7 Fs, Troy and Dave claim that you'll be able to live in this mystical state of Oola, or Oolala, which they describe as a state of awesomeness. So how would one grow and find balance in their 7 Fs? Well, lucky for us, Troy and Dave give their expert advice on exactly how to do this. Just take their chapter on finance as an example. No debt. Debt is a burden. Debt is evil. We'll let the mortgage on a primary home slide, but that is it, and only if the numbers are right. Be a good steward of the money. Take care of the money that comes your way. Learn, don't put your head in the sand, pay attention, learn about money. Are Troy and Dave saying that we should be careful about debt, watch our spending, and learn about finances? Wow, revolutionary ideas, guys. They also warn their readers about Oola blockers, which they describe as negative traits that can prevent you from growing in your 7 Fs. For example, do you all know that being persistently angry not only affects those around you, but can also have consequences that you live with for the rest of your life?
Oh my God! Wow!
In contrast, Oola accelerators are positive traits that will help you grow in your 7 Fs. Ironically, Troy and Dave list integrity as an Oola accelerator, which is clearly an Oola accelerator they themselves are lacking since they're now the founders of an MLM company. At this point, I wouldn't blame you guys for wondering what exactly qualifies Troy and Dave to be speaking on the subject of personal development. After all, they call themselves doctors, so maybe they're psychologists, or at least have some education in psychology? Nope, Dr. Troy and Dr. Dave are chiropractors and holistic practitioners. Knowing that they're basically doctors of bullshit, it kind of makes sense why Troy and Dave think it's sufficient to support their poorly written self-help book full of cliches and generalizations with their own personal anecdotes rather than presenting any data. In fact, a good chunk of the book is just stories from their own lives. And unfortunately, these stories sometimes reveal, whether they're meant to or not, that Troy and Dave hold some, well, misogynistic views. In the chapter on fitness, Dave writes, "I am the first to admit that I have chick tendencies. Maybe it was growing up with 4 sisters or raising my 4 daughters, but somewhere along the way, I became self-conscious about my body. Now, if you're a woman, don't go crazy on me for using the phrase chick tendencies. I mean that with the greatest amount of respect. But you have to admit that you are the one who buys Spanx to hold in this or bras that push up that. You spend an hour in front of the mirror and put on shoes that make you 4 inches taller. In that chapter, Troy goes on to explain how his chick tendencies are a big part of what keeps him motivated to reach his fitness goals. Yeah. It baffles me that Troy and Dave went on to write an Oola book specifically for women that is creatively titled Oola for Women. Now, I'm going to be transparent with you guys. I'm not a fan of the self-help genre, and the Oola book exemplifies why. There are, of course, exceptions, but for the most part, self-help books are written by individuals with little to no education in the field of psychology, and they very rarely cite any evidence to support their claims. The advice in these books is often generic or common sense, and can honestly be reduced to tired cliches. Vaguity is almost a requirement, as they're written to be easily consumable to a mass audience, and aren't in any way suitable to address people's individual situations or struggles. At best, self-help books can give you a momentary high, but at worst, they can cause serious damage to their readers. YouTuber James Janney detailed how he actually became addicted to self-help books in his expose of the self-help movement.
Self-help makes you feel good, there's no doubt about it. There's this amazing feeling of satisfaction that I felt after finishing the final page of every self-help book that I read. I had a rise in motivation. I felt like I had just completed the level of some video game and my character had just leveled up. You see, after every self-help book that you read, after every self-help video that you watch, there is a surge of dopamine that rises straight into your brain. That feeling of accomplishing something after reading each book made me feel incredible. And after finishing that self-help book, I would go straight onto Amazon and order a bunch of new ones. That cycle would repeat itself many times over. Buy a new book, feel a strong sense of motivation after reading it, and then buy another book, and on and on and on it went. If you still don't see the problem with what's going on here, let's take a look at the addictive side of dopamine. The reason anything becomes addictive is not because of the thing itself. The reason someone becomes addicted to a drug is not the drug, it's what the drug does to your brain. That rush of dopamine is what gets you hooked. And make no mistake, it is easy to get hooked to self-help.
Self-help addiction is a thing that can happen as readers are lulled into a false sense of progress. People have a tendency to believe that there is a hidden secret out there to happiness and success. So when some book claims to reveal that secret, people easily believe that by reading that book, they are taking real steps towards improving their lives. Unfortunately, this is all a cleverly crafted facade. Of course, reading one self-help book won't change your life, but it can make you think you're changing your life. And this is where the cycle begins. The more and more self-help books you read, the closer and closer you think you are to becoming the person you've always wanted to be. The truth is, self-help is an industry that mostly peddles pseudoscience. The writers of these books are mostly interested in one thing, selling more and more copies of their books. They're not interested in actually helping people, and in fact, they rely on the unhappiness of their audience to keep their books selling. While you think that you're getting closer to finally being happy, self-help writers like the authors of Oola are cashing in on the fact that you're not. Knowing that about the self-help industry, it's easy to understand why the Oola book naturally paved the way for the eventual Oola MLM. Using an MLM model, Troy and Dave don't have to wait until they publish their next book to siphon off money from those looking for the key to happiness, because now they can just lock people into a never-ending cycle of self-improvement and charge them $47 a month.
Do you find yourself feeling stressed, overwhelmed, out of balance, or lacking purpose? We've all been there, but imagine living life differently, not fighting about money, having time for self-care, doing work you love, feeling deep connections to family and friends, confidently pursuing your purpose, finding joy in each new day. Welcome to Oola. We exist to make the world better by helping individuals create a life of balance, growth, and purpose.
From what I've been able to gather, Troy and Dave decided to turn Oola into an MLM after they were approached by a man named Travis Ogden, who, as a side note, they refer to as the Suit, which is totally not culty at all. Unsurprisingly, Travis has a laundry list of involvement with other MLMs. He served as the chief operating officer of Young Living up until 2016 and as the chief executive officer of Isagenix up until late 2020. It seems that Oolalife is just the latest of his money-making schemes. Travis has taken on the role of CEO for Oolalife. Troy and Dave are listed as the founders, but they seem to really serve as the faces of the company. From what I've seen, Troy and Dave have been the ones from the corporate side who have the most contact with those signed up for the MLM opportunity. Oolalife's product is a completely digital personal development course that is modeled after the concepts taught in the Oola book. In all honesty, I've had a hard time finding out what exactly is included in the course itself. In Oolalife's promotional videos, they seem to almost brush over the specifics of what's included in the course and instead focus on talking about the MLM opportunity. From what I've been able to gather, the course is divided up into 3 interactive phases. Phase 1 has you rate on a scale from 1 to 10 how you feel like you're doing in each of the 7 key areas of life. You then set goals to improve in each of these 7 areas and come up with at least 3 daily action steps that will help you achieve those goals. Phase 2 is all about discovering what prevents you from achieving your goals. It's basically about identifying your Oola blockers. Apparently, the course program tracks which goals you achieve and which ones you don't, and then somehow helps you determine what is preventing you from achieving your goals. Phase 3 seems to be about just more goal setting after you've figured out how to overcome the Oola blockers you identified in Phase 2. Although the course is divided up into 3 phases, it doesn't appear that it really has an end. Essentially, you're signing up for a lifetime of constant self-improvement. While, of course, setting goals for yourself and working on bettering yourself isn't a bad thing, there is a limit. My fear with a course like this, especially one that's sold through an MLM model, is that the social pressure to achieve loftier and loftier goals will easily create a cycle of shame when the participant inevitably fails to achieve them. Contrary to what the Oola guys preach, happiness isn't only found by becoming some superhuman that has perfected every area of life. To attempt that is unrealistic and will only lead to increased shame and guilt. Feeding the shame cycle, there are also small group meetings called inner circles, where you meet with other Oola members in order to keep each other accountable for progressing in the course. Again, totally not culty at all. As well as monthly summits led by Oola certified life coaches. And of course, there's the annual Oola conference called Oolapalooza that members have to pay for, by the way. To join Oola, you can either join as a member, which gives you access to the course, inner circles, and monthly summits, or join as an ambassador, which allows you to not only sell the course to others, but also recruit other ambassadors and make money off of their sales. It costs $47 a month for the course, and there's also a $77 enrollment fee, plus a $50 annual fee, so for your first year, you'll be spending about $700 to be a part of Oola.
That's expensive and that's not worth the money.
At first blush, Oola may seem to be just another scammy personal development course. But when you really start to look at what they're claiming Oola can do for people, the reality of what Oola actually is becomes much more sinister. Just take a listen to what Dave had to say about Oola during one of their first product demos.
People need Oola so much in their life right now. People that are struggling in their marriages, struggling with debt, struggling with obesity issues, struggling with health issues, struggling with mental health issues, struggling with self-love, self-care, all of those things people are struggling with that we see on the bus every day. That's what we're passionate about, to show up and really provide help for people, provide answers for people. And as an ambassador, you're stepping into that role saying, I want to use Oola for myself. I want to help myself live a more balanced, growing, and purpose-filled life. And I want that. I want to shed a light to my family and friends. But I also, as an ambassador, I want to help others. And that's really what we're really bringing about. And the people that are enrolling and signing up as ambassadors, especially this early, we don't even, soft launch June 7th, full launch July 7th. I mean, we're just overwhelmed and humbled and grateful for all the people that have said, I want to be ambassador across the country, saying, I want to use Oola to be better and I want to share it.
Marriage issues, mental health issues, issues with self-love and self-care. Is it just me, or do these not seem like issues that someone might need to see an actual psychologist for? And does it not seem like Dave is heavily suggesting that ambassadors will play an active role in quote unquote helping others who join Oola? To really understand what's going on here, we need to take a look at the final piece of the Oola puzzle, Oola life coaches. In addition to the MLM side of things, Oola offers private life coaching services through their certified Oola life coaches. Now, it's important to understand that life coaching is an ill-defined profession. Life coaches are not therapists. There is no regulatory board that oversees this profession, and really anyone can call themselves a life coach, whether they've undergone training or not. Oola life coaches do undergo training and are certified, but they receive training and are certified by Oola itself and not by any outside entity. Kind of like how doTERRA claims their oils are certified pure therapeutic grade when no such certification actually exists. doTERRA just came up with that term on their own and threw it on their bottles to try and look more legitimate. And if you want to see how qualified Oola life coaches are, just take a listen to this life coach talk about the importance of having faith.
I'm just gonna be fully transparent. I was living this, how do you put it, just really crazy emotional life where I was seeking to be, we're PG-13, so fulfilled by women and sex. This small, still voice told me I had to stop this behavior, commit myself to celibacy, and seek him. I was like, who? Who's him? What is this? I came to realize later on it was the God of the Bible, the spirit of the universe. So I was like, okay, so if you're real, you gotta prove yourself.
You actually said that?
Yeah, brother, I did. Not only did I say that, I said, if I'm going to commit myself to celibacy, recommit myself to this, then you got to give me what I want. I can almost just like feel this like smiling voice as it said, oh, go ahead. Like it knew this was going to happen. I was like, fun then. Yeah, so I'll rattle off these 10 characteristics. She had to be brunette with blue eyes, Caucasian. She had to love her family very much, be holistic, health conscientious. I wanted her to be smart with finances, business minded, a Christian. Okay, I'm gonna level with you. I didn't really care about that, but I thought, for the most part, they had really good morals. She had to be independent, no clingy chicks. I'd been there before, done that. No, thank you. But I didn't want a floozy. She had to be dependable, loyal. I didn't want her running around. But here's the kicker, man. This is where I thought I was going to get it. I said, you're going to realize, I'm in my mid-20s saying this. I'm not going to find anybody who's mid-20s. They're going to be a little older or something like that. I said, okay, she's got to be a virgin. Boom. I figured that was a mic drop, man, right? Late 2004, I meet this woman. I was reminded. It was like that small, still voice again. He says, this is her. I was like, what? And so I went through my head and listed off those 10 characteristics, and it was like, check all boxes. So, man, what do you think? I trust your opinion. Is this a good story of faith?
Yeah, I think so. It showed confidence in something, and it demonstrated what Augustine said about faith, to believe what you do not see, with the reward being to see what you believe.
Yeah, you didn't hear that incorrectly. He did actually make a deal with God that he would remain celibate as long as in exchange he was given a brunette, blue-eyed virgin. These are the Oola life coaches, guys. Obviously, life coaches are not supposed to treat mental illness, and their role is really more to help their clients accomplish specific life goals. But since there's no oversight of this industry, it's not uncommon for life coaches to extend their services beyond what would be acceptable. It seems that licensed therapists are really torn on whether or not life coaching is a good thing or not. Some say there can be some benefits from utilizing life coaches, while others say life coaching can actually be harmful. I'm not a therapist, but in my personal opinion, life coaching, just like self-help books, is mostly a scam. Unlike psychologists, life coaches don't utilize evidence-based methodologies when it comes to working with their clients. And all too often do I hear stories of life coaches or motivational gurus working with people who have undergone severe trauma or are dealing with actual mental illness. To me, life coaches are to the field of psychology what the supplement industry is to the field of medicine. Just like self-help, at best, life coaches can make people feel a bit better momentarily, but at worst, they can cause serious harm to their clients. From the outside, it appears as though the MLM side of Oola is completely separate from the life coaching side. Out of curiosity though, I decided to reach out to an Oola life coach in my area by pretending to be interested in joining Oola because I wanted to see if you can be both an ambassador in the MLM and a life coach at the same time. This is what the life coach I contacted said. Life coaching and ambassadors are separate, but I'm seeing that a lot of the coaches did decide to become ambassadors because we all absolutely love Oola and all that it stands for. If you were to become a coach, I wouldn't mind being an accountability partner for you, but you wouldn't be signing up with me. You'd be enrolling through Oola. If you were to become an ambassador, I would be pretty involved if you were to join my team. We have a pretty big group and everyone is very involved with helping each other out. This confirmed what I feared, that Oola life coaches are at the top of the pyramid. This is the nail in the coffin for me because by Oola founder Dave's own admission, Oola is for people struggling with relationship issues, self-love issues, and even mental health issues. So Oola has basically built an MLM model where their uplines are unqualified wannabe psychologists who not only search out vulnerable people to recruit into the scheme, but are also the same ones holding the downlines accountable for staying in the scheme that they financially benefit from. And here's the thing. Oola isn't the first MLM where the uplines play a pseudo-psychologist role to their downlines. Have you guys ever heard of NXIVM?
On April 20th, actress Allison Mack and Keith Raniere were arrested for running an alleged sex cult within the controversial self-help organization NXIVM. The group describes itself as a, quote, community guided by humanitarian principles that helps people realize the potential that exists within them.
What wasn't reported in the news was that NXIVM was actually a multi-level marketing company that, much like Oola, offered self-help courses. For years, whistleblowers called NXIVM a cult, but it wasn't until NXIVM women started being branded with the MLM founders' initials that it was revealed that secret groups existed within the company in which women were actually being trafficked. Keith Raniere, the founder of NXIVM, was sentenced to 120 years in prison, and many other high-ranking NXIVM reps were imprisoned as well. What was going on in NXIVM flew under the radar for so long because of the structure of the company. Uplines had full authority over their downlines in a mentor-mentee relationship, and closed-off groups where the flow of information was limited to the group itself easily formed. Keith Raniere was able to use this hierarchical structure to commit heinous acts, all under the guise of self-improvement. Now, I'm not saying that Oola is like NXIVM, but does it have the potential to become like NXIVM? Maybe. I mean, there's no mistaking that Oola is a pyramid scheme that's wrapped up in the shifty self-help movement, and that the founders of Oola are already suggesting to their reps that they provide services that are way beyond the scope of just goal setting. I hope, if nothing else, that this video serves as a warning to those already in Oolalife or are considering joining. I would like to end by making a suggestion. I know that Oolalife sounds alluring. It's tempting to want to believe that there's something out there that can solve all your problems. But what if you were to invest that $700 you were to spend on Oola and put it towards evidence-based mental health services? Of course, therapy isn't a magic bullet either, but that's because no magic bullet exists. But personally, I would rather invest my time and money in something that has evidence to back up its efficacy, rather than join an MLM run by chiropractors who claim to have all the answers, despite the fact they have no education in what they're talking about. Sometimes it's worth questioning if those claiming they just want to help are really only concerned with helping themselves. Thanks so much for watching, and a huge thank you to my patrons who helped make this video possible. If you like this video, please be sure to subscribe, ring the bell, follow me on Twitter at the Antibot, follow me on Instagram at TaylorLee_1993, consider pledging to my Patreon, and I'll see you all on the next one. Say bye!